So the train tracks that I'm literally lying down on, look at that, it's huge. He's doing us, oh no, it fell! Alright, it's my first full day in Hanoi and it's super rainy. Let's check this out. It's like completely rained out, so we're gonna go check out indoors. We're gonna go to Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum, but first I'm gonna try something I've never tried before, an egg coffee. The top is really tasty. It's like, there's definitely condensed milk in there, but I don't really taste much egg. And also, the egg coffee comes in a bowl of water. I have no clue why that is. Whenever you pick up the coffee cup, the water drops on your pants. After the really delicious egg coffee, we've ended up in the temple that's in the middle of the lake, Hoan Kiem. I'm definitely gonna butcher all the pronunciations here. This temple is called something like Ngok San. Our initial plan was to go to the mausoleum of Ho Chi Minh, but we can't find a taxi. I think because it's raining, it's very hard right now to find a taxi. This temple is from the 19th century, and I just found out that it was erected in the honor of the Tran dynasty's greatest military commander, Tran Hung. Yeah, I just can't. Like the names here are wild. The best part about the temple is the fact that it's in between a lake. So in Vietnam, they seem to put offering for the gods. There's some juice, but they also have beer. We're done with the temple. It's pretty tiny. You can do it in like 20-30 minutes. So yeah, this is some local dish that she's making. It's basically some sort of fried flour or cream with shrimp on top. It's very interesting. And these are like shrimp empanadas. The empanada is called ban go, and that shrimp thing is called ban tom. We've arrived in the main government center of Hanoi. Since Hanoi is the capital, all the embassies, all the main government buildings are located here. These really wide streets, they remind me a lot of Beijing's Tiananmen Square. It says, the Socialist Republic of Vietnam want to wife. Okay, I think Google Translate is not working here. Alright, so that's the main mausoleum of Ho Chi Minh. I don't think you can enter it. This is some sort of slogan about Ho Chi Minh, about him. Like Google Translate for Vietnamese is so bad. At first it translated Ho Chi Minh lives everything for God, but that makes no sense, because if Ho Chi Minh was communist, I don't think he was really believing in God. That right there is the presidential palace of Vietnam. So Vietnam is one of those few countries in the world where communism won over capitalism. The Soviet Union fell against the US in the Cold War, but Vietnam was one of those countries that survived 20 years of American war and actually came out victorious. And yeah, Ho Chi Minh was one of the most important leaders during that time that helped North Vietnam's communist ideology come on top. And then North and South Vietnam were united, and the city of Saigon, which is the main city of South Vietnam, was named after Ho Chi Minh, and now it's called Ho Chi Minh City. So right behind Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum, there's the one pillar pagoda. It's a pretty tiny one. So it's very interesting. In every pagoda here, they have offerings to the god. So let's see what they have here. There's some cookies, chocolates, a lot of fruits, but this time they don't have beer. It's really funny that the first pagoda we went to actually had beer offered to God, and that to Budweiser. Like, come on, you gotta up the game for God. I don't think God would appreciate Budweiser. So we're walking towards a banh mi store, and we randomly stumble upon some dude named V.I. Lenin. I think everyone knows who that is. The Soviet Union and North Vietnam were pretty good friends. Similar ideology, communist brothers. So you still see statues of Lenin in Vietnam. Probably you don't see it in most parts of the world. And yeah, you see statues of Ho Chi Minh in Moscow. So I've been noticing all around Hanoi, the date 34/1975/2023 is all around. Also 30th April is my mom's birthday. Pretty sure they're not celebrating my mom's birthday. This date is actually the fall of Saigon, which effectively marked the end of Vietnam War. Here you can see the sign of tanks That's probably the North Vietnam Army going into Saigon and ending the Vietnam War. And today's 29th April, so tomorrow is actually the 48th anniversary of the fall of Saigon and the end of Vietnam War. So what a time to be in Hanoi. We're trying different fruits to see what we want to eat. We're trying some street mango. It's pretty good. I've had better though. So here's the train track. This is where the train's gonna run later.
Excuse me, outside please, the train coming out.
So the scooter's still passing, but people are being kicked out. Look at that. It's huge. That is such a big train. Duong Sat.
Hi, sorry, excuse me.
That's the end of the train. It's a pretty long train. The train's gone and the traffic resumes. Back to the craziness. Alright, we're going to a restaurant that's on the tracks. So you have to actually cross the tracks to get to the restaurant. Doesn't get more touristy than this, having a pho right next to Hanoi's rail track. So the train tracks that I'm literally lying down on, they started in 1902. And tourists like it so much that in 2019 the government had to stop and ban tourists from coming here. And it was closed during all of COVID and it only opened recently. And I'm lucky to see it. And also the trains that run here, they're not just local trains, they're trains that come all the way from Ho Chi Minh City. Oh, so close to us. Apparently they've never had accidents here. That's pretty crazy, look. The train passes and people are back on the tracks like it's normal. If you look at this street, there's Vietnamese flags one after the other. Every single building has a Vietnamese flag. Because it's 30th April, commemorating the fall of Saigon and the end of the war tomorrow, it's a big occasion and that's why every single building has a Vietnamese flag put up. So I haven't seen any other country where these scooters are as popular. It's almost hard to walk on the sidewalks because it's used as a parking for these scooters. It's a typical Hanoi sidewalk. Try walk through that. One thing really interesting in Hanoi is that on the streets you see these really small chairs where people sit and have food. And that's what I'm doing. I'm having a banh mi for dinner on this very, very small chair. The banh mi is really good.
Very nice.
Also, another fun fact, the reason banh mi has a French looking baguette is because of the French influence in Vietnam. Vietnam was under French colonization for the longest time. I did not expect to find bachata in Hanoi. And it's all Vietnamese people dancing. That's so cool. So randomly on the street, people are just making cool towers with like Jenga looking pieces. First I thought they were playing Jenga, but it's just kids, adults, everyone hanging out, making these big patterns. Some of these Jengas, oh no, it fell right in front of me. Oh no, I think I jinxed it. Fuck. I was just talking about how impressive his structure was and it just fell. A little pet pig. Some very cool street food being made. More cool street food. This is meat. Some drinks. Alright, they have some sugar cane juice here. Inserting the sugar cane from one side and then it's coming out the juiced out sugar cane from the other side. This is like the street market and it doesn't seem like it's very targeted towards foreigners because it's not souvenirs. Alright, last in Hanoi and we've made it to the Temple of Literature. And I have no clue why it's called the Temple of Literature. So let's find out. This Temple of Literature was built in the year 1070. So it's almost 1,000 years old. And the reason it's called the Temple of Literature is that it hosts the first university of Vietnam called the Imperial Academy. So this place is so important in Vietnam that it's on the 100,000 bill. Looks similar? It's almost like 40 degrees right now. And now we're gonna go to the Prison Museum. Right, we've arrived at the Hue Prison Museum. So it turns out the Hue prison is from the French colonial time. They built it in 1896 to put Vietnamese prisoners of war in here. So basically, people of Vietnam who fought for their own independence were put into a prison that was built by displacing a village that was originally here. Typical imperial story. It's very, very unfortunate. So this is so interesting. It was also used to keep American prisoners during the war that the US raided on Vietnam. We're done with the Hue prison. I highly recommend that place. It's just such a good place to learn the French colonial and the American war history of Vietnam. Alright, Fang Water Puppet Theater. We're here for the 5:20 p.m. show and it's still burning hot outside. It's insane. The tickets were like $9 US each. We're done with the show, and these are some of the puppets that were used. Honestly, that was a pretty unique show. It was pretty entertaining, even though I did not understand a word. Just by seeing what these puppets are doing, you can kind of make out what's going on. Pretty much showing the traditions in villages of Vietnam, like people farming, going on boats, fishing. Definitely worth checking out if you're here. Last day in Hanoi. This is how you cross the street. This is full-on commotion. Just walk through every scooter and hope no one runs you over. Mission accomplished. Anyways, that was it for Hanoi. I ended up spending 4 days here. I would say 3 days is a good amount of time to check the city out. We ended up going a bit deeper than normal, going to museums and stuff that I don't normally do. Yeah, tomorrow I'm taking a flight to the Philippines, so see you in the Philippines.